My roommate insane boyfriend was ruining my life, so I put him on the streets. I feel like I'm going crazy and I never expected to be dealing with such an intrusive problem that I literally cannot escape. I'm 19 years old, and I'm in my freshman year of college. I saved money over the summer after graduating high school, so that I could afford to live off campus instead of in a dorm. I was diagnosed with mild OCD and anxiety when I was in middle school, and I really didn't want to share a small space with a complete stranger. So I hunted for some affordable off-campus housing, and I found a great little place rented out by 2 other girls. When I responded to their ad and went to meet them, everything seemed perfect. The 2 girls, Emily and Kath, were so sweet and the apartment was really nice and clean. I signed the lease right there on the spot, but I had only been living there for a couple of weeks when I found out it had been too good to be true. It turned out Emily had a boyfriend named AJ that was constantly over the apartment. When I say constantly, I am not over-exaggerating. He stays here 6 nights a week since he doesn't have his own place. He is also a real bastard, he has no manners and he is so messy and obnoxious. Both Emily and Kath spend a lot of time out of the house, but I work at home and I guess AJ doesn't have a job, so I find myself at home alone with him all the time. He hooked up his PlayStation in the living room and plays video games all day and night while screaming at the TV. On top of that, he leaves hair in the shower and uses my shampoo. It irks me so much, but the worst thing is how he treats the kitchen. He never washes his own dishes, and half of the dishes in the sink are his at any given time. When he gets food delivered, he doesn't throw away the bag, he just leaves it full of garbage on top of the counter. I was getting more sick of his filth and his carelessness by the day. I decided to call Emily about it one day, and surprisingly, she was actually really nice about it and said she would talk to him about being more respectful. I called her in the morning, and when I got home that night, only AJ and Kath were home. Kath was in her room and AJ was eating messily at the table. He looked up at me when I walked in and said, "Hi talker," then kept eating. I said, "Excuse me?" But he just laughed and waved me off. It was so effing rude, and the next thing he did would be my last straw. My roommate insane boyfriend was ruining my life, so I put him on the streets. In my initial post I explained that my roommate's a-hole boyfriend was always over our shared apartment and he made a new mess every day and was a pain to live with. I communicated with my roommate about her boyfriend's treatment of the apartment, and she promised me she would take care of it. I don't know what the hell I got my hopes up, absolutely nothing changed. Matter of fact, Emily was out of the house even more after we spoke. Meanwhile, AJ was hanging around doing whatever he wanted. AJ also had an awful habit of using other people's things. He used my shampoo and toothpaste whenever he felt like it, and he would eat Kath and I's food out of the fridge all the time. For context, we live in a really cold area, and we have been getting some heavy snow recently. I decided to buy myself a shoe dryer. It's just like this small heated shoe holder that dries your shoes fast. I was keeping it by the door so I wouldn't have to walk into the apartment with wet shoes, but after I found AJ's disgusting smelly shoes in it one day, I decided to keep it in my room. The very next day, I got home before anyone, and I heard AJ walk in and curse loudly. The next thing I knew, he was banging on my door. I couldn't believe my ears. I knew he was PP, but I couldn't believe how entitled he was acting. He was yelling at me through the door, demanding to know what I had done with the shoe dryer and that he needed it. I opened the door and told him to leave me the hell alone. I said the dryer was mine and I was sick of him using my stuff anyway. He started to argue back, but I held firm. I had put the shoe dryer close to my own door when I moved it, so it was by his feet while he stood in my doorway. After going back and forth for a minute, AJ literally tried to swoop down and take the shoe dryer without permission. Out of reflex, I kicked him in the forearm as he reached down for the dryer. He yelled out, "Fuck CK." And his face started to get red. When he looked at me, he was breathing heavily and he started cursing me out. He called me a dumb bitch and said he was tired of having me around, but I stood my ground and called him a broke loser who freeloads off his girlfriend. To my horror, AJ raised his fist and punched the wall right behind my head. I screamed and he called me a effing bitch a few more times before storming into Emily's room. I just shut my door and cried. At first, I didn't know what to do. But then I got up, took a picture of the hole, and texted it to our roommate group chat saying what had happened. I told them I was sending the picture to our landlord and telling him what happened. Our landlord is not a nice man, and wherever we interact with him he's always yelling at us not to screw his house up. Emily immediately texted back, begging me not to tell the landlord and saying she would pay for it to get fixed. I told her it was too late, and Kathleen chimed in and said he was over AJ being in the house all the time when he didn't even pay rent. Emily suddenly switched up and started calling us jealous since we were obviously just lonely bitches. Well, she might have a man, but in 30 days she won't have an apartment anymore. My landlord was pissed about the hole. He came to the house that night to inspect it and he cursed out AJ himself and kicked him off his property. It was sweet to see. He ended up evicting Emily for damaging the house and breaking lease rules, and I've been checking off the days on my calendar till she moves out. This was all extremely stressful, and I guess I'm grateful AJ punched the wall instead of my face. Now I'm just trying to look forward to having a chill, clean apartment, and I can't wait to be able to actually use my living room and kitchen.